Hey all, back this week to talk to you about the top 5 things to know in a military divorce. For those of you familiar with the area, we've got McTill Air Force Base right here in South Tampa. Because of that, we have a lot of members of the armed service that we help with family law matters, specifically or most often divorce. And while the law is the same in general for members of the military, there are some unique issues that come up in a military divorce. So it's important that you know about those, and it's important when looking for an attorney that your attorney knows about those things, because again, there are just these issues that come up. So right off the top is the timeline of a divorce. There's special aspects of the statutes that deal with members of the armed services, and specifically how long they have to respond, whether or not a default can be entered by the court against a member of the armed service, if they're away on active duty versus being here, issues regarding service and things like that. So in a military divorce, the timeline for responding to a pleading, whether or not a person can be found in default for not responding to a pleading, is a little bit different in a military divorce, so that's important. Another one is the residency requirements. So with military divorces, the state where the spouse filing lives can have jurisdiction. The state where the member of the armed service claims residency can have jurisdiction, or the state where the member of the armed service is deployed can have jurisdiction. So that's a little bit unique in military divorces, what court is taking jurisdiction over the action for a divorce. So after the timeline in military divorces and then the residency component, one of the third most important things to understand is the division of military benefits. Members of the armed services have unique benefits that in some cases in a divorce need to be divided up between the parties. There's the thrift savings plan, which is kind of like a military 401k. There's the military pension. There's a survivor benefit. There's TRICARE, which is kind of like the health insurance for the parties. And then there's, in some cases, VA disability. So those are different benefits unique to members of the armed services that in a dissolution action may need to be divided between the parties, and how that's done, again, is kind of unique in the military process. Next is income. So when calculating child support, when calculating alimony, if you watch my prior videos on the Peace series, you know that with child support, the formula takes into account income. So with members of the military, they get a housing allowance and a food allowance, or a BAH and a BAS, and that can be included in their income for purposes of determining how much they make on top of what their regular pay is. And then again, in alimony can be considered as what their income is as far as their ability to pay that alimony. There's also drill pay in some circumstances. Members of the reserves get drill pay when they go and have to do their drills monthly. So that can be included into what their gross income is when we're doing calculations to figure out child support or alimony. And finally, and most importantly of the 5, is what impact military families have on time sharing. One of the things that you'll find often in military divorces is that one or both of the parties need to relocate. So a lot of times we have 2 state time sharing plans. You know, state of residence may be Florida, but dad may be deployed to, you know, California, Texas, wherever. How are we going to effectuate time sharing there? And then another thing that comes up is when the member of the armed services is deployed overseas. There's actually a new component of Chapter 61 that deals with time sharing with extended family when a member of the armed services is deployed overseas. But these 5 things are all factors that you need to be thinking about, not only in a military divorce, but when selecting a military divorce attorney. We've got a vast amount of experience with these issues. If you have any questions, please give us a call or reach out to us online. We'd be happy to help you. Thank you.